Hello fellow battle researchers, I realized I never did a tier list of all the new traits that have been introduced in the Coromon update, and because we're getting a new mobile update and new traits and skills and items and all those things in January, I wanted to make sure to get this out before we get that new update. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe. Let's jump on into over 100 new Coromon traits. Alright, so the first trait is going to be caffeinated. This was in the demo, the original iteration of Coromon. The Coromon has more SP available, and I'm going to put this in the B tier. It's actually kind of helpful to have more SP right now because it's still so heavy. It's not OP or like super great, but it's a viable trait for those who don't have another viable trait in their toolbox for Coromon. Afterburner is next, and this is when a Coromon is defeated in battle, it inflicts a burn on the opponent's team. We're gonna put that also in B tier. It's a little situational, but it is better than caffeinated, so we'll go ahead and slide that up or slide this back. There we go. Useful to have, a little situational, but it is nice that you can burn something and get a little revenge, be a little petty as your Coromon leaves the field. Kindred Soul is next. This is an interesting one. Upon entering a battle, if the opponent has a higher max HP, the Coromon links their soul to match its HP until the battle ends. To me, that's solid A tier, maybe even S tier, and Pergas is a really good user of this trait. I think it's a solid one, A tier for Kindred Soul. Toxic Skin. So the Coromon has Toxic Skin, self-explanatory, but the first attack, making contact, will poison the attacker, after which every second contact will poison the attacker. This one is S tier. It is so good to switch in on a physical attacker, so like Malivite for example, going for a physical move that hits you, it gets poisoned, and it's basically just crippled the rest of the match. It is an amazing ability, easy S tier. Clean Retreat. The Coromon is cured of all status problems when returned to its spinner. This one seems like it's really good. I don't know how good it is in practice, but it kind of gives you a status absorber, so I'm actually going to put this in B plus tier, even though for Irachi you're probably using like fully rested. The trait itself is really good. The distribution is maybe questionable, but because we don't have heal bell or other ways to clear status, I think this is a really solid trait. B plus tier for Clean Retreat. Amplified is next, so super effective attacks against the opponent deal an extra 25% damage. It sounds nice, but in practice I think it's just okay. I'm gonna put it B. I might move Caffeinated down to B minus because this is a bad floor, but I do think it is a solid trait. Again, distribution is maybe lacking, but that extra little bit of damage is super helpful, and for that reason we're going to put it in the B tier. Low density is the Coromon during a sandstorm is immune to contact effects of any opponent attacks. It's not used that often. I'm going to put this in the C, I guess B tier. It's just not used that often. It's super situational in my opinion, and with so much weather flying around, there's a good chance you won't even have low density activated. So B minus tier for low density. So we have a bit of an error here. This should actually say contain power because clumsy power was switched to contain power. But once every 3 turns, damaging skills are unleashed and they deal 50% more damage. This one is really good. It's S tier, even though there's an error on the name. Contain power is one of the best traits in Coromon right now, and Borealis uses it, and it is an absolute monster. S tier for Contain power, not clumsy power. We have our second error. Glamoth no longer gets an Arctic. These are holdovers from the first time I made these trait tier lists, but Arcturus now gets this, and when you bring in your Coromon, there's going to be a snowstorm for 5 turns. It's still really good, even though Glamoth doesn't get it. In terms of it as a trait, I'm gonna put it in B plus because it's super solid, but again, Glamoth does not get this trait anymore. Arcturus gets it. So keep that in mind when you are team building. Nanoskin does not have an error, so we're back on track. The Coromon's regenerative exoskeleton makes it immune to bleeding. I'm putting this in C tier. I don't even really understand how bleeding works half the time, and it seems very situational, and there is most likely another trait you're going to use on top or instead of Nanoskin. So the first C tier trait we're going to have is Nanoskin, and Cyberbite is a good example of a Coromon that can utilize that. Antidote is going to go in our not viable, so the Coromon builds up an antidote over time which can cure a squad member from poison. I don't believe this can be used in PvP. I believe it is only in-game. If that's not the case, let me know in the comments, but because I believe it's only in-game, not viable. Let's go on to comeback. When its HP drops below 25%, the Coromon makes a comeback, increasing its attack. I'm putting that in the C tier. It seems really situational. and there's a good chance you get picked off. I don't feel like you're gonna do like endure stuff or get down to that low HP. So really situational, probably other traits you're gonna use over that for that reason. It's in the C tier. Let's talk about Nimble. When physically attacked, the Coromon steals any fruit the opponent might be holding. Oh, that's low B- tier. It's not quite C tier because some of the things I've put in there are not very good. So we're gonna put a B- tier. Fruits are not very common anymore in competitive play. That could change with the new update and new traits and skills and so on and so forth. But as of now, unless we get an influx or an increase in the use of fruits, B- tier for Nimble right now. For Conductor, when the Coromon is hit with an electrical attack, it's charged and its speed is increased. It's kind of cool. I think it's like high B- tier though. I think it's high B- because these are like, they're kind of useful. This one's kind of useful and more useful than these. That's how tier lists work, right? So I'm putting B- tier for now. Probably not a trait you're going to be like looking for heavily. And let's jump into Antifungal, which by using Fungus, the Coromon can fully restore its HP. I actually don't know how that works, so I'm going to put that in the unsure bucket there, because I'm not quite sure how that one functions. Next up is Nurse. The Coromon takes care of a member of the squad, restoring them to full HP. I'm also unsure about that one, so I'm going to put that in unsure. I think actually that's only in-game, not PvP. Otherwise, more people will be using it. Next up is Coward. So when the Coromon receives a critical hit, it cowers and increases its defense by 2 stages. That's, I mean, it's almost like not viable, but we're going to put it low C tier for that one. Backup Plan. Once per battle, the Coromon will cling to life instead of fainting when hit by a super effective attack. This one's kind of cool. I like the sound of it. I'm not sure how often it's used, but I do like the idea of it. We're going to put it in B tier because it's probably hard to pull off. And next we have Pat Down. So upon entering a battle, the Coromon pats the opponent down to detect any held items. The held item can be viewed in the opponent's details by tapping its name tag. That one's cool. That's going into B+ tier. It's always great to know what item your opponent has, especially in Coromon when you have item clause, and each mon can only use one item. So if you find their Scarfer, or their Acrostone user, or their Pistostone user, that's really helpful information for the match. Next up we have Dark Atmosphere. So the Coromon starts Twilight upon entering battle. I'm probably going to put most of the, actually this weather's not nearly as good as, I think, as ice, snowstorms. So we'll put this around here in the B tier, maybe high B tier. Next up is Pep Talk. The Coromon gives a pep talk to a member of the squad, overcharging their SP by 15 points. I'm not sure how this works. I don't think it works in PvP. If it does, that's super cool, and you're kind of sacrificing the ability for this Coromon to have a good trait to like help something else out. But this sounds like it's an in-game only trait, if I had to guess. Brave sounds like it'd be a very cool Coromon trait just based off the name, but what it is this Coromon is so brave it cannot be affected by Curse, which isn't all that common from what I understand in competitive play, so it's almost like not viable. But I'm going to put it in low C tier because not viable. I'm saving for traits that are in-game only, that aren't going to be competitive play like at all. Okay, so we're back in real life after several hours, but we're going to pick right back up and start with Cleanse. So this means the rain has a soothing effect on this Coromon, curing all status problems. That will be in the B tier. Similar to Clean Retreat, I like traits that allow you to clear status because it's kind of difficult to clear status in Coromon, and there's a lot of like auto status, which is tough at times. Next is Clear Skies. Actually, we have Escapist here that I've already placed, but that's not viable because that's only useful if you're running away from Coromon, unless I believe you have the plus version of this trait, which we're not ranking today. And then we have Clear Skies, which means that we're going to remove weather and prevent it from changing when we're on the field. That to me is like a B-. I feel like in theory it's really good. In practice it kind of falls short a little bit. And then next we have Polished Body. So its Smooth Body prevents any stat from lowering. Doesn't work when a Coromon lowers its own stat. So the way that it works is that even if you lower your own stat, you're not impacted. And in that case, it's A tier. If it's working how the definition is actually written, it's more like a B. So I'm going to put it in top of B+, because as it currently functions, it's really good. But if it changes to how it's written, we'd bump it down a little bit. Next is Fully Rested. So when the Coromon has full HP, any damage is reduced by 40%. To me, that is an A. If we had A+, I'd put it there. I think this is a really good ability, and there are a lot of Coromon that utilize it really well, and has contributed to stall being such a huge problem in the meta right now. Conserver is next. The Coromon can use skills at a reduced SP cost of 1. I'm just gonna put that in C. It doesn't seem that good. I've seen no one use it. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I don't think it's super helpful. And then we have Polluter. While on the battlefield, the Coromon pollutes the air on the opponent's side, making any opponent unable to eat fruits. So this is going to be similar to Nimble. Anything that's like fruit related, B- unless we get like an influx or a huge increase in the usage of fruits in the game. Good aim is an interesting trait, so physical skills hit the right spot, increasing critical hit damage by 35%. It's good and bad because we've reduced or just gotten rid of hacks in Coromon, so you can strategically place when you're going to crit someone. I'm gonna put it in B- though. I think it's still too situational, so we're gonna put that here. And for some reason we have 2 good aims, so we're just gonna use this one here and go on to Prepared. Prepared is one of my favorite traits. I'm putting in the S tier. It's going to double your speed when you enter the battlefield. Really great for Chiraptor, but again, if distribution was better for this trait, I think it would just take over completely. I think it's a really great trait, really helpful. So for me, S tier, but I can totally see other people wanting to put it in other places. So Accurate's an interesting trait because you're going to increase your accuracy by 1 stage, but in PvP now you can't miss. So unfortunately, it's almost like not even viable. I guess I'll put it in C in case like you're ever up against someone who's just like kind of spamming like accuracy lowering moves, but really not super viable. And then we have Gravity Pool. So this Coromon is such a big mass that it has a chance to prevent the opponent from switching out. That's been reworked in the new update, and I need to update this card for it. But it's a pretty solid trait, so we're gonna put that, I think, at the top of B. The top of B makes sense to me. For Cosmic, the Coromon draws power from Twilight, causing all negative stat changes applied to become positive. This I'm gonna put towards the end of B-, maybe right here. It's situational, like low density, so I think it makes a lot of sense there. Then we have Hoarder. The Coromon sometimes hoards items lying around the battlefield. I think this is going to be not viable. I don't think this is going to be a PvP trait. I think it's only for in-game. And then we move on to Crippler. When the Coromon inflicts a status problem or stat change on an opponent, damage the target's SP by 10% of their max SP. This one's cool. I'm going to put it in B. It's just like a solid trait to have. If you have like the plus version of this, or if you have the ability to get plus, this becomes even more damaging and is integral to stall. I'm actually going to put it a little bit higher because I do think it's a little bit more useful than I'm giving it credit for. So I think it's right in that Gravity Pool range as well. And then we have Radiator. So the body of the Coromon is so hot that the first skill making contact will burn the attacker, after which every 4th contact will. So not quite as good as Toxic Skin in that one, you're going to be lowering special attack, and I think the physical attack drop from Toxic is more helpful. And it's going to happen a little bit less. So I'm going to put this right in B. Another just solid trait to have. And then we'll move on to Inner Fire. The Coromon has Inner Fire, burning so hot it cannot be frozen. I think I'm just going to put that in C. I haven't seen something get frozen in many moons. Rebirth is not viable, but very cool. If the cards are popping up, check it out. If not, there should be a link in the description that takes you to all the different traits. Next we have Lucky. This Coromon is so lucky that it has an increased chance to critical hit. This one's not bad. Again, this is just solid. It's just a solid trait to have in PvP. And then we have Dimensional Eye. The Coromon excels at seeing weak points while in Twilight. Critical hit chance is increased by 1 stage. It's a little situational. I think it's right here with Cosmic and Low Density that it requires some kind of weather or atmosphere, and just a little too situational for me. Reconstitution. The Coromon reconstitutes itself, restoring 20% of its HP and SP and curing itself of all status problems. So this one, I believe, is going to be, I'm going to say unsure. At one point I knew how this worked, and now I don't. So I don't want to say something and give it credit for being a really great trait, and it's not, because I think that happened the first time I made this trait tier list video. Like almost a year ago, and I still am unsure on how it works, so we're going to put it there for now. Alright, for the third time I've changed the lighting in this video. Went from daytime to nighttime without my light on, and now the light's actually on and working, so we can see my face again without terrible lighting. But Magic Layer is a super cool ability, trait I should say. So it's going to increase the amount of special damage dealt by 10% and decrease the amount of special damage taken by 15%. A tier for me. I love this trait. I think it's super cool. Definitely going to put that in A tier. And next we have Magnetic. So when a spinner fails to catch wild Coromon, this is not going to be PvP. This is going to be in-game, so not viable. Dirt Coat. The Coromon covers itself in a sturdy dirt coat during a sandstorm, increasing defense by 50%. So this is going to be better than some of these like groupings I have for weather or atmosphere dependent traits. I'm gonna, man, this one's not bad. This one's not bad. I'm gonna put it towards like the top of B tier, like in this range. I can't put it B plus because it still requires the weather, and I feel like it's tough to always get that going, but it is really good if you do have the weather up. So for Regurgitator, the Coromon regurgitates its fruit after 4 rounds, after which the fruit can be consumed again. I'm laughing because Mudma's just so terrible, so if Mudma's the only one who gets this, it's like almost like not viable. I'm going to put this towards the middle of B minus, a little bit better than the situational traits here that require atmosphere or weather, but not quite as good as some of these just like solid traits that you may want to have on your squad. Menacing, so it's going to lower your opponent's attack. B plus. I always like traits like these. I think they're solid, and it gives your Coromon some more bulk, or obviously it's going to make another Coromon less threatening, which is always great. Zealous, so skills used by the Coromon deal 20% more damage but cost 2 more SP. You know, I go back and forth on this one. The idea of it is really good. I'm gonna put it at the end of B plus. I can see arguments for it being in B and B minus, so on and so forth, but we're gonna leave it there for now. I think that's a good spot for it. Reignite. When the Coromon falls below 25% of its HP, the Coromon reignites and raises its fire move damage by 50%. Man, these are getting tough because I can't put everything in B. It's definitely not. Is it C? Is this a C tier one? I'm going to put it at the top of C for now. For Molter, the Coromon sheds its skin after each round, giving it a 30% chance to cure its stats problems. That is also likely updated with the new update, and again, I'll have a link in the description to all the new different moves that are changed because of the reduced hacks or no RNG mode. As it's written, this probably is like every 3rd turn you remove a status, if I had to guess. Where'd I put the status ones? Yeah, I'm going to put it in B, assuming that it reads the way I think it does. I'm actually going to put it here, so it's near Cleanse. It's not quite as good as Clean Retreat. That's right, so it's not as good as Clean Retreat. It's a little bit better than Cleanse, so I think that's a decent spot for it. We have Disrupting Aura. The Coromon's aura depletes 2 SP of any attacker making contact. That one's okay. I'm just gonna put that in C tier. It's like an okay one. Like, it's not like solid, and I think some of these have like more potential depending on the situation. This one, it's like if you have nothing else to use it, but you wouldn't be happy about it. Next up is Resistant. The Coromon doesn't mind special attacks, reducing their damage by 25%. This is solid. I don't think it's quite as good as Magic Layer, but I do think it's a really good trait. I'm actually going to put this at the end of B+. Next up is Motivated. Motivated is just like S. I love Motivated. Upon defeating the opponent, the Coromon gets motivated and raises its attack and special attack. Solid. Solid. Next up, we're going to have Tactical Retreat. And Tactical Retreat might just be the best trait in the game. It made Goldbeak really, really good. When the Coromon retreats to a spinner, it restores 25% of its HP, and you can stack that on top of any kind of like defense or special defense boosting items. It's just really good. I think by far the best ability in the game. It's amazing. Next up is Drive. When the Coromon summons a sandstorm for 4 turns upon entering battle. I think Sand's pretty good. I'm gonna put up there a little ahead of Dark Atmosphere. I think it's a little bit better than Heat Wave's really bad. But I think it's better than Dark Atmosphere. I think it is not quite as good as an Arctic because it makes like Borealis and things just absolute monsters. But it's a really solid weather to have on your team. Restless, the Coromon is too restless to feel drowsy. That's a C tier. I rarely see anyone going for any kind of drowsy, and it's just a little too situational. You probably use another ability for this Coromon specifically. Overclocker. If the opponent has higher attack, the Coromon overclocks its own attack to match it. Now, I'm gonna put this in unsure, and the reason why I'm doing that is because there are some specific mechanics that I don't want to mess up and I don't want to over or understate, but at baseline, it's really good. It's like a B plus to like S, depending on how it's actually working mechanically. So because I'm not exactly sure, I want to put it in unsure, and I want to direct you to the link down below that has a description of all of the different traits to get more information, or the Discords to ask more questions about that one, because I don't want to say it's better than it is, because there's some mechanics I'm probably missing there. Empathetic. The Coromon is also affected by any stat change the opponent is affected by. I like this one. This one is just like solid. So like if you, for example, bring in your lantern and someone is boosting their special defense and special attack, you also get those boosts. If they're boosting, if they're lowering your defense, their defense is lowered as well. So things like that. I think it's a really solid trait. Scrapper. The Coromon doesn't mind physical attacks and reduces their damage by 25%. This one sounds really good, but when I used it, it wasn't that great. So I'm gonna put it in C, and we can disagree. Let me know in the comments what you think about Scrapper. Robber. So this is just stealing extra gold, so that's gonna be not viable. Fast Learner. This is gonna be gaining XP from battles. That's gonna be non-viable. Shiny. Shiny's good. So you're gonna lower the opponent's special attack by 1 stage when you enter. This is right up there with Menacing, so we're just gonna put that into B+. Vigilant. When a Coromon's HP drops below 25%, it increases its speed and accuracy by 1 stage. And I believe there was another trait that worked similarly that I don't know where I put. Oh, Reignite. So this is better than Reignite for sure. I think it's probably, is it B? It's situational, but it doesn't require a weather. So I think here makes sense. I think that actually makes the most sense. Sharp Claws. You can't lower this thing's attack. Just solid. You know what I mean? Just like a really good trait to have. Bright Light. So this is mostly useful because it's gonna block Twilight. Like that's really what it does. It also lights up caves in game. So in game it's like a S tier. PvP though, it's gonna be like C tier. It's just too situational. You're probably not using this to block Twilight really. Let's just move on. Fearless. The Coromon refuses to run from any fight, and its max HP is increased by up to 40% based on its level. That's going to be in-game only, so we're going to put that as non-viable. Move on to Shock Absorber. So the Coromon likes critical hits and reduces their damage by 25%. This one is situational. I think it's way too situational. I'm going to put it around here. Yeah, right around Nanoskin. That seems right. Although I do want Nanoskin to be higher. Water Cool. The Coromon's Water Cool, making it immune to burn. That one's not bad. It's like okay. I'm gonna put it. I want to keep these three like together. So I guess B minus. Like it's not bad. Actually, I'm gonna put it in B because it depends on which Coromon has it. You know what I mean? Because not being able to be burned is actually really helpful. So let me bump that up to around Sharp Claws. That makes more sense to me. Slippery. This Coromon has an increased chance of dodging status changing moves, I should say. It's okay. I'm gonna put that around here. Mostly because it's Swarmy. Weatherproof is an interesting one because it means you're not impacted by weather. The distribution is only one Coromon though, so this is another one where I'm trying to decouple the distribution versus how useful the trait is in and of itself. I think I'm actually gonna put it towards the top of B tier. Being immune to weather is no thing to sneeze at. Fire Intake. You absorb flames. The Coromon raises its special attack when hit by a fire type move. Now, I'm pretty sure this means you don't take damage. So I don't want to put it in unsure. I'm going to make an assumption, and assuming that you don't take damage, which I think is how it works, or it did work before, that's like B plus to me, man. That's up there. Being able just to switch into fire type moves, like you just kind of wall Volroot. I'm gonna take it. Short fuse. The Coromon gets angry upon receiving critical hit, increasing his attack by 2 stages. I don't like these ones where it's like you have to get hit by a crit for them to activate. They're worse than these situational ones. I'm gonna put this in C. Like here. It's nice if it works out for you, but the chance of it working out and it being on a Coromon... Actually, let me ignore the distribution. I need to ignore distribution. Static body. Because of his static body, taggers made in contact have a chance to get shocked. So this is likely updated as well. It's probably like the first time you get hit by it, you get shocked, and then it's like maybe every other like 2 to 4. We have some other traits that are similar to that. I'm trying to find them quickly. We have Afterburner, and we thought another one. I'm gonna put it. Maybe it's a good trait. I actually really like Status Body. Oh, we have Toxic Skin up there, and then we have another one that I just can't find. I'm looking for it. I'm trying to find it. I can't find it. B tier. Spent too much time on that. So Glacial Affinity. For every other Ice type Coromon on the team, this Coromon skills deal 10% more damage. This one is so interesting to me because I think the idea of it's really good. I think in practice, you're only going to have at most one other Ice type. So it's like you're getting a 10% damage increase. I'm going to put it in C. I like the idea of it. I just think in practice it doesn't quite work out. Snowman. So the Coromon rebuilds itself using snow, restoring 5% HP every round while snow is falling. This is worse than these ones that require weather. So I'm gonna put it in C. I don't think it's that great. 5% for every round when snow is falling, and it only falls at most 5 times. I just don't think it's that great. Sticky layer. The sticky layer of the Coromon lowers the speed of attack making contact. I actually think that's really good. I like that one. Down to B. I just skipped acupuncture, so let's talk about acupuncture a little bit. So this trait is either non-viable or unsure for me because it treats a member of the squad to cure them of all status problems. I don't think that's a PvP trait. Let me know in the comments if you're still watching and you got this far and you know Coromon in and out better than I do. Let me know about that one. I think that's going to be a game-only trait. So for this next one, the Coromon gains an additional 50% HP and SP when consuming cakes. That one's not bad. I'm going to put it at the top of B-. That one's kind of cool. I don't see people using it too often, but it seems cool. Gullible. So the Coromon is very gullible and every stat change is doubled. This could be where's my S? This could be really good. I feel like the distribution's poor. You know what? I'm actually going to put it right behind Tactical Retreat because I think Tactical Retreat's still really good. But Gullible has the potential to be just absolutely amazing. Hard-headed. Because of its hard head, it suffers 50% less recoil damage. Just solid. Again, depends on who gets it and like what moves they have, but ignoring distribution, that's a solid trait. Like get head bash or some other thing, recoil, and just kind of click buttons. I like it. Strategist. When the Coromon moves later than its target, it strategically finds weak spots and attacks with double crit chance. That one's not bad. I'm actually going to put it towards the top of B, because like right now I think Humby just has it, and Humby usually goes first because of priority moves, but on a slower mon, like I said, being really, really good. Soothing Aura. The Coromon can call down Soothing Aura, restoring 20% HP to all squad members. That is going to sound like a not viable in-game only. Super Sensory. The Coromon raises its most proficient stat when one of its stats is lowered. B-. Really situational. I'm actually going to put it behind these ones here because that one's tough. I think tough to use there. Hot-headed. Fire skills used by the Coromon deal 20% more damage. Does not work in snow. That doesn't make sense. It should work in the snow. This is kind of like, where did I put Amplify? Oh my gosh, here we go. There's so many traits on here now. There's like 100 traits. Similar to Amplify. That makes sense to me. Specialist. The Coromon restores 4% of its SP each turn and 50% more SP than normal after the battle. This one, so assuming that you get the 4% each turn, like that's okay. I'm going to put it in unsure because I don't know if you get that in PvP per round per turn. If you do get that, it's probably like C, B- tier. Thick Skin, you're immune to all critical hits. This one's also situational, so I'm going to put it here because it's situational, but it's not requiring weather. It's not, what's the word I'm looking for? Dependent on weather. Humidifier, makes it rain for 4 turns upon entering the battlefield. This one's up there with Antarctic. I think it's really good, and it just makes some water types absolute monsters, and it helps to nerf some fire types as well. But let's talk a little bit about Inverse. So Inverse is a funky one. All your stat changes are reversed, so it's kind of cool. It's situational, I'll give you that, but it's also independent. I don't know, I'm gonna put it in B. This will be the one situational one so far that I think is gonna go up here. I'll put it above. I'll put it here. That makes sense to me. What do we have next? Steady. Strong stature prevents it from getting knocked down. That's not that cool. I'm gonna put it in C. It's not that useful, and you rarely get knocked down in PvP anyway. Vaccinated. The Coromon's vaccinated, which makes it immune to poison. That's actually pretty good. That is actually pretty good. I'm gonna put that up here. Oh, I should put Humidifier higher. I should put Humidifier higher for sure. And Antarctic. That seems right to me. What do we have next? Impatient. What is this? Upon defeating an opponent, the Coromon gets impatient and raises its speed by 1 stage. That's cool. That's top of B for sure. I like that one a lot. Steam layer. The Coromon is protected by a layer of steam during heat wave, increasing its SPDF by 50%. I think I had another trait like that. Oh, it was Dirt Coat. You know, interesting. Heat wave is worse, so I'm actually gonna put it lower than Dirt Coat, only because the weather it's dependent on is not as good as Sandstorm in my opinion. Next up is Vegetarian. So fruit is healthy. The Coromon restores 20% HP when consuming fruit. This one's actually pretty good. It's solid. I'm gonna put it here. It's a solid trait with a lot of strategies that go along with it. Intelligent. The Coromon uses this knowledge to increase its evasion by 25% when battling wild Coromon. That's not viable. Stoic. After taking super effective damage, the Coromon's defenses or special defense increases by 2 stages depending on the type of damage taken. Oof. It's like Vigilant, and yeah, that's a little situational. It's a little situational. Maybe not quite as much. You can run like a bulky bear with that. Also, this card's nice. When we have Spiked Body. Spiked Body is great. So because of this trait, you will take 15% damage for any contact move. This is like a B+. This is right up there. And you can stack it with like Quantum Rock, or you can do Spiked Body Plus or Plus, which is even better. Absolutely amazing. So for those of you who didn't watch the entire video and jump to the very end, this is our tier list for all of the available traits in Coromon. If I missed one, don't say anything because I might have missed one or two. Also, I utilized the damage calc, which you can find in a lot of different discords and will be linked down below, that will tell you what all of the different traits are and what their plus versions do as well. So if you enjoyed this video, you had fun hanging out for about 30 minutes or so talking about Coromon traits, leave a like and subscribe. We'll see you next time, and bye everybody.